Hi, welcome to today's eVapt webinar. I am Kashipa Maladi from eVapt marketing team. Today we will be discussing on various revenue management aspects of infrastructure as a service, especially cloud infrastructure perspective. Over the past few years, the cloud computing has evolved substantially and so did their requirements. During this webinar, we attempt to discuss how we address these evolving requirements for the segment. For this, I have with me Mr. Nishikant, who is a subscription management specialist with our organization. He will be the presenter for today's webinar. Before I hand over the presentation to him, let me introduce eVapt. eVapt is a product from MagnaQuest Technologies which specializes in subscription management, metering and a billing solution for service providers on cloud. With our experience in managing subscription-based business for over 14 years, our product has successfully helped more than 150 customers across 30 countries to successfully sell their services via cloud. Some of them are very well-known service providers like Joint, who is one of the world's leading cloud computing service provider, BSNL, who is a leading telco service provider in India, and another world-leading cloud computing service provider based out of US is also using a system. Now, without any more delay, let me just hand over the presentation to Mr. Nishi. But before I go, please let me tell you, please feel free to use the questions window provided in the GoToWebinar window to post any questions, and we'll be taking them at the end of the presentation depending on the available time. So let me just hand over the presentation to him. Over to you, Nishi.
Thank you, Kashyap. So as Kashyap mentioned, my name is Nishikant, and I will be the speaker for today's webinar on revenue maximization and leakage minimization through billing system. This will be the contents of the presentation today. We will initially talk about the market dynamics and trends of the IES industry. We will talk about some business processes and challenges that IES providers encounter on their day-to-day basis. We will try and understand what are the gaps in the existing systems that IES providers have, and what are the kind of customer requirements that IES providers are encountering. We will also talk on how eVapt can help you meet these challenges and enable your customers to have a better billing solution in place. We will also talk about eVapt's core value proposition, and if there are any questions, we'll be pleased to take them up at the end of the presentation. Very briefly, let's talk about the IES industry. The IES industry is highly competitive in nature. When I say competitive, the number of players who are able to embrace the concept of cloud model of working is increasing. The investments in the cloud computing arena are increasing, and the demands from the customers are also increasing. So IES providers have now shifted to what is called as a subscription-driven business model, wherein their customers, who are called subscribers, are being billed exactly in line with their usage. And using this model, the IES providers are able to provide a lot of value-added services to their customers apart from their conventional offerings. And improved services availability is also one of the key business challenges that most of the IES providers encounter, which we will be talking about as we go on. So just to continue, this slide talks about the changing dynamics of the IES industry. IES providers have embraced the concept of what is called as the virtual private server. Now, conventionally, these services, the infrastructure services, were offered as in a managed service model or as a co-location model. But now, the IES providers have realized the importance of what is called as a virtual private server or a virtual machine. And using this model, they are able to meet fluctuations and uncertainties and demands of their customers. And they are able to allot resources based on the demands of their customers. So hence the allocation is pretty dynamic, and the customers are being built exactly in line with their usage. That is what we call as a subscription billing model. Now this is typically how a subscription billing model can be represented. It allows you to define and offer different price plans for your customers based on their purchasing power or based on your target customers. You'll be able to offer them a variety of discounts, and you'll also be able to give them different combinations of your offerings. So from a customer standpoint, his capital expenditure is minimized and his operational expenditure is controlled. And apart from these, the customer has the flexibility to change plans as per his business requirement. So just to repeat whatever you just said earlier, you'll be able to define customer-centric price plans. You will help your customers reduce their capital expenditure. You'll help them optimize their operational expenditure. And you give your customers the flexibility to choose the services they want. Probably there are a few services which can be offered as a bundle, which can be offered as a single source, as a single solution, and where you'll be able to build them, and you'll be able to come out with a lot of new and innovative plans. Now, in a subscription billing model, typically there are two types of charges. One is the fixed charge, and the other is the usage based charge. Now, in terms of the usage based charge, you bill your customer for the usage during the previous month. Now, this becomes very simple if you have a defined set of customers and your price plans are all very homogeneous, very uniform, and all you have to do is just do a small arithmetic calculation. But just imagine a case where you have a few thousands of customers subscribe to 3 or 4 different price plans, and all these customers are located in 15 different countries and have the requirement to be billed in 5 or 6 different currencies. Now, this actually complexes the situation, and that is where there is a need for a very dynamic, flexible, and robust billing system in place. Before we get into that a little in more detail, let us quickly examine how an increase in customer base can amount to what is called as a growth slowdown if you do not have a proper system in place. Now, if you have an increase in customer base, if you have your subscriber base growing, then it's a good sign for you because your revenues will obviously grow. But what will happen in the process is you have to expand your hardware, you have to expand the resources you are actually renting out to your customers, which will increase the complexity in the business process and which might lead to a growth slowdown if you don't have a proper billing or a dynamic and a flexible and a robust billing system in place. Now, this is how typically IES ecosystem should ideally operate. Your billing system should be able to interact with a lot of systems like a provisioning tool or a financial and accounting system, a CRM application, a service portal, or a virtualization platform. Now, all these systems are a part of your organizational biosphere, and all these systems have got information pertaining to the customer billing. Now, if your billing system is not able to effectively communicate with these systems, then in all probability the bills are erroneous. So that is where the eVapt billing system comes into picture, where the eVapt system is capable of interacting with all these systems which are on different other platforms using a technology called web service APIs, and that's how the system has been built. Now, as we go forward, we will also talk about a small concept called Observer Agent, which is an in-house technology developed by eVapt. Now, though the billing system interacts with several other systems, interaction with the virtual private server is one of the most important aspects because that is where the real-time usage details are extracted. And that is where the Observer Agent technology comes into picture, because that particular function cannot be performed using a web service API technology. This is how I'll quickly let you know what are the offerings or what are the various modules that eVapt system has got. And as I'm done with this slide, I'll have one of my product specialists, Mr. Pranay, talking about the product and giving you a quick demo of some key modules in the product. So before I hand over it to Pranay, let me just quickly take you through what we have in our product. And we have an order management system which allows you to register your customers and manage their contracts, their billing frequencies, and the contract validities, etc. There is a revenue management module which helps you manage payments in various forms, because the system can be integrated with various payment gateways, and you'll be able to accept payment through a multitude of methods. There is a partner management module which will allow you to define, manage, and settle revenues with some other entities like partners, resellers, and vendors who could be a part of your system. There is a dashboard feature which will allow your senior management to view reports on the usage and the billing and revenue details, etc. So let Pranay give you a more detailed description of what the product is. He'll touch base on some of the important modules of the product, and probably that will give you a better idea of what I was trying to tell you all this while. Over to Pranay now.
Hi everyone, this is Pranay. So I work as a product consultant for MagnaQuest, and for this webinar I will walk you through a list of functionalities available in the eVapt system using which infrastructure as a service provider can maximize his subscription revenue or minimize his revenue leakage. So first let's see the functionalities which allows the service provider to offer some flexible price plans. So currently we are on a bundle interface which allows the infrastructure as a service provider for offering some flexible price plans to their services. Here we see a sample services which is a cloud server that consists of some computing resources like storage space, bandwidth and computing cycles. So here I have grouped some list of 3 services into a server which will be availed by my customers. So in addition to this bundle, eVapt also provides some other functionalities related to grouping of services. Basic service, here you see service groups, packages and package groups. These all functionalities allows you to handle complex grouping of services. So once I defined my service or price plan, then I move on to pricing, where I attach a price tag for these list of services. So before moving on to the pricing, we have a price plan interface which allows the service provider to add some parameters to their services. So how do I want to offer this particular cloud server? On a prepaid model where my customers first pay the money and use the services, or on a perpetual model where the customers will be using the services and then pay at the end of the month. And also I can set my plan availability date using the start date and end date. So this is the time period for which the plan will be available for my customers. And also here we see the status. So if this plan doesn't work for me, then I can just deactivate the plan and come up with a new one. And furthermore, we have some other parameters like customer type, you see. So I have a single price plan now, which is called as a cloud server. So single price plan might not address my requirements of my entire customer base. So in such cases, eVapt provides me a customer type interface wherein I can segregate my customer base into different types based on some parameters. So once I segregate my customer base, I can select the type of customer to which I want to target my service. So I can have customer centric price plans, and then we have billing frequency. So as a service provider, how frequently I want to charge my customers for availing this particular server or a service. So here we have different frequencies: monthly, quarterly and yearly. So this is providing a flexibility for me, for the service provider, for generating an invoice, and also it is offering the flexibility for my customers to choose the frequency of sending an invoice to him. Some of my customers might want to pay on monthly basis for using these services. Someone might want to pay on a yearly basis or quarterly basis. So I also provide the flexibility to my customers. And price region. So if I want to offer a single service to different locations, I cannot go with a single price. So I should, why? Because there might be a difference in taxes or some other government norms. In such cases, I should have a region specific pricing. So different regions, I have a region specific pricing, and also I will have a flexibility of collecting the payments using the local currencies. And then we have hardware items. So there might be some kind of services which can be provisioned only on specific hardware devices. This is more specific to content delivery service providers. So for such kind of services, you can very well select the hardware items which the customer need to have for availing this particular service. And then we have operational entities, where you can see a corporate and the list of sales offices or branch offices. So using this operational entity parameter, I am selecting or allowing multiple sale points for my services, increasing the visibility of my services. And then we have partners, which are the third-party entities who are in contract with me for selling the services on behalf of me. So from this list, I can select the third-party companies who will be selling this particular service. So once you define the parameters, then we move on to the pricing. So in pricing, we start with the charges. So how do I want to charge my customers for using these services? If I want to charge them on a recurring basis, like a monthly or quarterly basis, I attach a recurring charge component. And also if I want to charge my customer based on his consumption, like number of units he consumed, I can attach a usage charge component. And then if I want to collect some one-time fees from my customers, like the implementation fees or setup fees kind of thing, I can attach a one-time charge component to this particular service. So once I attach the required charge components, I can define the taxes. Once I define the taxes, I can select the option of including the taxes or not, and then the pro rata rules. So some of the companies have business rules like generating an invoice to all of the customers on 1st of every month or 2nd of every month. So in such case, having specific business rules, there might be a possibility that some of your customers might order for a service in middle of a billing cycle or just other than the 1st of every month. So in such cases, how do you want to charge him in aligning him to the billing cycle? If you want to charge him for the exact days in the alignment, you go for compute exact amount. If you want to charge him for the full month, we have charge for full month. And if you want to waive off the amount for that specific period, we have the waive off period. And the custom rule is the one where you can define your own requirement if it falls out of these three predefined rules. And then disconnection rule. So some of your customer might want to upgrade or downgrade their services. So in such cases, you need to settle the amount for the existing contract. So disconnection rule comes to play for settling the amount for the existing contract. If you want to credit off the amount for the remaining contract period, we have exact usage. If you want to charge him for the entire contract period, we have no disconnection credit rule, and similarly we have a custom rule where you define your own requirement. So once we define the billing rules, we move on to the pricing tab, where we can attach a price tag to the services. So here I attached a price of $99.95, which is on a recurring basis and a monthly charge. Similarly, eVapt has a discounts tab, wherein you can manage your discounts and promotions, and also you can offer discount on percentage basis or a flat amount. And also the discounts, you can have customer specific discounts, region specific discounts. And then we have a rate plan interface, which allows the service providers to define the price per unit of the service. So you can define the price per unit of bandwidth, price per unit of computing cycles, and price per unit of storage space. So once I define the rate plan and discounts and pricing, I complete the definition part of the services. So once I define the services in the eVapt system, then I enable these services on my service portal. So let me pull out a sample website that is offering infrastructure services. Here we see a cloud depot. And once you define the services, the service catalog can be displayed on your service portal. And when your customer visits your website, and if he is interested in any of the plan, he clicks on that, and from there he will be routed to an order or subscription form, which consists of a list of labels, text boxes, and frames which captures the details of your customers. And eVapt has rich experience in integrating with service portals or order forms. So once customer furnishes in the details and clicks on the save, as eVapt will be integrated with this subscription form, data will be pushed into the eVapt system. So once eVapt system collects the required details from the service portal, a billing process will be initiated, and according to the contract agreement, an invoice will be generated to a customer. So currently you see a new bill interface where you see the details of customers, demographic details, as well as the contract details, the services he is currently availing. And here you can select the contract which he is availing and generate an invoice to the customer. And we also see here the acknowledgement from the system that invoice has been generated with an ID. So from here on, value proposition will be discussed by Nishikant.
Thank you, Pranay. I hope the demonstration given by Pranay was informative and helpful. And just in case you think you have more questions to be answered, we'll be happy to arrange a one-on-one demonstration with you where we'll probably address, we'll try and address if you have any specific questions there. Now, before I get into the value proposition, let me quickly summarize on whatever we have discussed so far. We just spoke about the IES industry, the changing dynamics, the changing customer demands, and the increasing complexity in the business model. And we have tried and understood why we need a very robust, flexible, and dynamic system in the IES ecosystem as such. Now, if I have to quickly tell you in 2 points as to what is the core value proposition of eVapt, I would say it will reduce your revenue leakages and it will maximize your revenue. Simple. Now, why does a revenue leakage happen at all? Conventionally, when the infrastructure was offered as a service, the resources were rented on a tangible basis, and the billing was done by an internal team manually. And porting of this information to the accounting system was also done manually. So there was a scope for a lot of errors to creep in. But when you automate the system and when you have a system which will be able to take care of all of these functions on its own, then your human intervention is minimized and your billing system is integrated with your financial system, which means your revenue leakages are also minimized. And not just that, it also improves the transparency in terms of submitting your bills to your customers, and your entire billing process as such is automated. And by having a system like eVapt in place, you'll be able to introduce new and flexible price plans which are more customer centric, and you'll be able to improve your revenues because you support several new and convenient payment methodologies, thereby improving your customer satisfaction. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. If you have any more questions, if you want to know more about us, you can visit our website www.evapt.com, or you can mail us your questions at info@evapt.com. I think we have some questions. So Kashyap, can you just read out the questions for us and let me see if I can answer them.
Yeah, thanks Nishikant, that was a really very nice presentation. And I mean, some of the attendees were really asking good questions regarding various things. Like one of the questions which says how is observer agent technology different from the typical APIs or the iframe technology that we see in the integration market today?
Yeah, that's a good question. In fact, I touch based it very briefly in one of the slides. Now, APIs are, if I have to define it very simply, APIs are an industry standard for interaction between multiple systems, and this interaction or communication happens periodically. But what happens in an eVapt system is we have a technology called observer agent, which is built of two components. One is the observer component and the other is the agent component. Now this agent is located in the client environment. It's actually a stateless agent. Its job is to keep sending the usage details of the customers to the observer. Now this observer will actually monitor and meter the usage details, and it will enable the eVapt system to either stop the services once the customer reaches the predefined threshold limit. So that's how I would put it. And the interaction between these two systems is real time as against periodically. Yeah, that's how it goes on. Can we have the next question, please?
Yeah, there's another question which goes like this. How flexible is your system in terms of solution and addressing a custom or a specific business process?
Yeah, eVapt system is a highly flexible solution, both in terms of solution and business process support. Now, the solution, the product has been built in such a way that any and every module or any field as such can be customized to your own, to the requirements of the end user or to your own requirement, to the requirement of the service provider also. Now, one such example was the dimension data, one of our customers, where a quotation management solution as such had to be customized to their requirement, and eVapt was able to do it successfully. Now, the product has also got a lot of business process flexibility, wherein the product will be able to integrate itself with various systems with the help of a multitude of API standards like REST or SOAP or Corba, etc. And eVapt can be integrated with any third-party solution and manage the information flow seamlessly. So the system is very flexible and it can be tailor-made to your requirements. Can we have the next question, please, Kashyap?
Yeah, I think we have only time for one more question, and there is one interesting question that's coming from one of our attendees, which goes like, how does buying a billing system actually reduce the cost towards billing?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. In fact, this has been touched base on in one of the slides where we said billing workforce automation. Yeah, that's a good question. The reason is IIS providers, we spoke very briefly that are meeting one of the main challenges of the IIS providers is the ever-growing customer base, because a lot of customers have bought in the concept of the cloud. So when you have a growing customer base, if you don't have a flexible and robust system, robust billing system, then in all probability you will end up paying a lot to manage the billing process as such. So by having a robust billing system and a flexible and a scalable system in place, which eVapt is all of these, you will be able to scale up to their needs and also manage a growing customer base very effectively. So that's how the cost incurred towards the billing process reduces considerably over a period of time. So I think we don't have any more time for questions. So still, if somebody has got questions, please email us at info@evapt.com or sales@evapt.com. We'll be pleased to answer those questions in person. I hope this presentation and Pranay's demonstration were informative and helpful. Thank you very much for the participation. Have a good day. Bye-bye.